And they did something different. They threw the ball deep.
Yeah, they did have some better ball plays, it appeared. And DJ Lagaway got a chance to show he can really play.
Yep.
That was encouraging.
Those were beautiful throws. I don't care if you're throwing on air. Those were nice throws.
Yeah, he can make all the throws, plus he can run.
Yeah.
I tell you, the more I watch football nowadays, if your quarterback can't run a bit, I don't know how you win.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome in to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Great pleasure to be with you again today. Of course, the Gators won Saturday, and that makes it a little more cheerful. We won't get as many calls on the radio, but we'll get some. There's no doubt about it. And we know what the number one topic is going to be. Of course, Coach Spurrier will be in today to talk about DJ Lagaway's performance, his first start. Robbie Andreu will be on to talk about it as well on Yes, No, Where, Maybe. And then Thursday's guest I haven't nailed down yet. We had a couple of possibilities. Riddell Anthony was going to come on, but he can't do it, so we're going to probably get him in a couple of weeks. I mentioned earlier Andy Staples next Saturday. We'll get a guest, I promise. There'll be somebody on the show this Thursday. So we appreciate all of our great friends for coming on the show. Let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club. Starting five, and of course the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest Gator club in the world. What a list of speakers they have, and if you want to get to be a member, it's a great opportunity. In fact, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Jimbo Fisher's coming into town to speak, and I've been trying to think of how I'm going to introduce him. Because my first thought was maybe I should introduce him and go, and here he is, a guy I rooted against in every game he's ever coached, Jimbo Fisher, or maybe I probably shouldn't do that. I'll come up with something really nice and say one of the great play callers of all time. He is a great play caller. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five. Let's start off with what happened on Saturday night, which was the DJ Lagaway show. I don't think any of us thought it would be like that. I don't think I think we all thought, hey, you know what? Samford's got a lot of guys that played in that game 3 years ago, and they, this could be a tough game for Florida. Instead, and again, when you're up 14-0 at the half, it feels like a tough game. But Lagaway was just incredible. I mean, 465 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and just ran the offense really well. I thought that was the coolest thing, is that the moment didn't seem too big for him. It felt like he was fine playing in front of that many people. And we'll see. Now, of course, the big question is going to be, now what? What do you do now? And, of course, today Coach Napier indicated that assuming that Graham Mertz is cleared, he'll be the starter, but they're both going to play, which I think is, you've got to do that. You've got to tell people they're both going to play. And, look, it's going to give Texas A&M a lot to worry about defensively. They're going to have to figure things out. Like, one guy can throw the ball a long way. One guy's Anthony Richardson. The other guy is, kind of a Shane Matthews type. Both are very good, and you would think that would be enough for Florida. But I will tell you this: believe it or not, Florida is a 4-point underdog, which I'm not surprised. And I said this before, I guess after the last game, that Florida could go through an entire season never being a favorite in a game, because Samford, there was no spread. There never was a spread, so they weren't a favorite. We knew they were going to win, but we didn't know by how much. They're 4-point underdogs this week. If they go out there and play like they did against Miami, they'll be underdogs against UCF, and then they'll be underdogs the rest of the year. So we'll see how all that goes. Number two on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five was that the defense played better. Now, look, I know who they played. They played Samford. Samford lost to West Georgia last week. I get all that. But you still have to go out and execute against air. You have to do it, and they did a good job. I thought they played pretty well defensively. There had some, misplays and stuff like that, but Jason Marshall getting that fumble in the first possession was huge. That kind of set the tone for the whole game. And I thought he did a great job. And look, they played better on defense. Doesn't mean they're going to play better this week, but we weren't embarrassed by the defense the way we were the last time Sanford came in here. So the defense played better. And I do think that listening to Billy Napier and everything he said about both sides of the ball, he feels like, look, we took a step, but it's not the step. And they know that. And I think the Leadership Council hopefully will help that. But look, the bottom line is they're coming in here. Texas A&M's coming in here with a team good enough to beat Florida. We know that. They have a great defense. Their win over Notre Dame doesn't look quite as good since Notre Dame just lost at home. But they're a good team. And Florida's going to have to execute. They're going to have to figure this thing out. They're going to have to figure everything out. I'm not in practice. I'm not in meeting rooms. I'm not with the players in the huddles. I don't know. You guys better figure it out. And if you figure it out, everybody will be happy, and you won't get fired. It's not up to me to figure it out. I can tell you what I think. My thinking is you got to start Mertz. What they're going to throw at him, Elko's going to throw at him, is going to be you need a veteran in there, but you got to play both of them, and you got to kind of go with a hot hand. Or maybe you could pull a Spurrier, and you go every other play. I don't know that works all the time. It didn't work all the time for Florida. It worked one time in 1997, obviously. But anyway, we'll see how that all goes. Let's get to number 3 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5. I'm can't wait to see Jimbo. Hopefully nobody's trying to keep track of what he's saying because it goes by so fast you can't hear it. All right, the SEC appears to me to be a little top-heavy. And the reason I say that is because so many teams just looked so bad. Kentucky looked awful. Auburn didn't look good playing Cal at home. They were bad. Just as you go through it, obviously Florida still has that Miami taste in their mouths. They can't get rid of that until they go win another game. The SEC just didn't look very good. A&M beat McNeese, I think it was, by 100 points, but they also lost a Notre Dame team that lost to Northern Illinois. The point is, it feels right now like it's a 4-team race. It is Georgia, Texas, I think Ole Miss, and I would put Tennessee in there for now. Tennessee is not because of the quarterback. It's because of the defense. Their defense looks really good. And that is very scary since Florida has to go up there in 4 weeks, whatever it is, game 5. So they, the league just doesn't look like as balanced as I thought it would be this year. Of course, I had a lot of X-factor teams coming in, and I said that before. I didn't know about LSU. I didn't know about Kentucky. I didn't have any feel for Florida. I got a better feel now for both those teams and for all 3. But so I would put those 4 teams on a pedestal, and then I would have probably Alabama and LSU, only because Alabama almost lost that game. Well, it was a tough game for them, and they shouldn't be a tough game against South Florida. So I put Alabama and LSU. You had a tough loss, and then pretty much nobody near them, nobody even close to them after that. Now things can change. We're 2 weeks in, Pat. Okay, I know I say don't overreact. Let's overreact to the NFL instead. We'll do that, but it feels that way. That's all I'm saying about that. All right, speaking of the SEC, we need to get to our Campus USA play of the weekend. And stunningly, this is a Florida play. And here it is. And this made me feel pretty good. That little bootleg play. And, look at that throw. That was AR-like. Down to Elijah Badger. And that was a really good run after catch, even though it really didn't go very far. I just liked everything about that. I liked the toughness of the receiver. I liked the play call. He had another guy wide open, as you can see there in the middle. So that was something they obviously saw. And then I liked that Badger was able to get behind the receiver. That was our Campus USA play of the weekend. Of course, Coach Spurrier is a spokesperson for Campus USA, and I am a customer, and very happy customer. They take care of me. I will tell them. And I got a lot of things they have to deal with, believe me. So that is our play of the weekend. Let's get to number 4, and that is how Florida's opponents fared. Well, some did good, some didn't do so good. Kentucky doesn't feel like as hard a game now. I don't know about you, but it doesn't feel as hard to me after they looked awful in that game. Mississippi State lost, and Arizona State had a lot going for them, and that was a close game. So that was certainly weakness, but obviously A&M blew out McNeese. They didn't have to play a lot of guys. UCF won their game by a lot. I would say this. I think the schedule has softened just a little bit because of what's happened at FSU and what's happened to Kentucky, and I'm still not sure about a couple other teams. But on the other hand, Texas looks like the best team in the country, and Ole Miss looks like the second best team in the country, and we'll get to that in a minute. But so Florida's schedule got a little softer, but not that much softer, I would say, going forward. All right, let's get to number 5 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5, and that was what happened nationally. The big story was Texas beating the crap out of Michigan. Wasn't even competitive. I turned it off. I had my 3 TVs going, but I had another game on that TV because there was no point watching it. And, of course, Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. That was a giant result as well. I don't think anybody saw that coming. 28-point underdog. I mean, I don't know why again, I don't know anything about Northern Illinois. I know now a little bit about Northern Illinois, but I didn't know anything before the game. And I guess I assumed Northern Illinois was still good. I remember there used to be people that were clamoring for Northern Illinois to get invited to the Big Ten. Their program was, but I guess they've fallen off. I don't know. I don't know much about them anymore, but I know that they played hard. And Notre Dame's got some real problems on offense. That's no doubt about that. Which makes you think maybe Florida, Texas A&M being in the game with Notre Dame. I don't know. Transitive doesn't work. Trust me on that. And I know what else doesn't work. Me going long on this segment. So let's get out of here. Our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5. We'll take a break. When we come back, the HBC is going to join us. And we always enjoy his segments here on another Duly Noted podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights, from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant. And you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And, of course, Meldon Law is also the presenter of Coach Spurrier's appearances here. We always love him. He made some news the first week, not as much the second week. We'll see if you're going to make news today, okay?
What was my news?
The news was that you said that he needs to do something different.
Oh, something
and
different.
And they did something different. They threw the ball deep.
Yeah, they did have some better ball plays,
Yep.
it appeared. And DJ Lightweight got a chance to show he can really play.
Yep.
That was encouraging.
Those were beautiful throws. I don't care if you're throwing on air.
That's
Those
right.
were nice throws.
Yeah, he can make all the throws, plus he can run.
Yeah.
I tell you, the more I watch football nowadays, if your quarterback can't run a bit, I don't know how you win. So I was watching that Michigan and Texas game, and Michigan was playing with a kid. He might have been a walk-on, earned a scholarship, and he's their guy now. But he can't move, and you got to be able to bounce around from the rush a little bit, and
especially as athletic as a defensive
and get up
lineman
in there
are,
and
in
go.
this league.
But on the other side, Michigan lost their whole team basically
they
from
did.
last year. Yeah, that coach.
That was an easy pick.
He doesn't have much of a chance. I can see why Harbaugh left. They had 13 guys drafted.
I know.
13 from one team drafted, and something like 8 on defense, 9 on offense, or something like that. So it'll take them a while to get back to a team like they had last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, and obviously South Carolina, your old team looked great. Duke,
their
Duke
defense
won its game.
Their defense completely stymied a bad Kentucky offense.
Wow.
That
was unbelievable. I couldn't believe how bad Kentucky was in that game. I kept flipping back going, okay, are they going to do something? No, they're 3-and-out again.
The announcer said they have attempted to run the ball 18 straight plays.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it wasn't a bad weather day either. It was a beautiful, sunny day. But, yeah, South Carolina played defense.
They played great, yeah.
They had the spirit. And
jumped out to that big lead.
Yeah, they clobbered Kentucky at Kentucky. You know what I've also understood? The first week, I'm glad I'm not a gambler. I would have picked all those home teams, including us. But one thing, I don't know who said this, but effort, talent, and coaching will overcome the home field advantage.
Yeah, it will.
And the more I watch this year, that home field advantage don't mean anything.
No.
It
helps a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it's got to help if they're even in effort, talent,
but
and
you
coaching.
don't even sleep in your own bed, right?
Yeah.
Everybody always says, I like sleeping in my own bed, like for a regional in baseball. No, you're staying at a hotel anyway.
Effort, attitude, talent, coaching, that overcomes home field advantage. No question about it.
Absolutely. But I mean, you had to be watching that performance by Lagway going, man, I would love to have had a guy who can throw it that far, that accurately. Because, I mean, you had one. You had Rex Grossman. You had, obviously, Shane could throw it deep.
Oh, they all could make the throws.
Dougie could.
Yeah, they all could make the throws. And most of them did it all very well. So, but Lagway can run a little bit better than maybe most of our guys. And that's the style you almost have to have nowadays, I think.
But you know, too, Steve, that he had clean pockets all night. I mean, it's going to be different, with Elko coming in here, who's known for his defense. He's going to put some exotic blitzes, which is why now, the way I understand it is, Coach Napier said today that Mertz is their starter, but if he's not, it doesn't matter really. I wouldn't let anybody know who my starter was, and I usually would get mad at coaches that did that, but now I'm looking at it as a fan. Let's keep them guessing who's going to be in there.
Well, the older guy starting the game in a way may be good. Actually, my sophomore year here at Florida, way back in the '60s, Tommy Shannon had been the starter the prior 2 years.
Yeah.
And we both were going to play, and I just said to Coach Graves, I said, let him start and then put me in anytime you want to, and play me as long as you want to. I mean, you go from there, but I mean, he's playing with all his teammates.
Right.
So Mertz has been here with all these guys a little longer.
Right.
So if he starts the game and all this, that, and the other, maybe, hey, everybody's happy and away we go. But obviously, DJ Lagaway's going to play a whole bunch the rest of the season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was he was throwing a beautiful ball out there, and he seemed to have control of things. My fear was that he was going to get out there and he was going to try to do too much, or he was going to try to only know like 6 plays, you know. But he seemed like he had control of the whole offense.
I think he's a pretty calm individual and confident.
Yep.
So he won't. It's not too big for him, and he'll be ready to play this week. And we'll see how the coaches handle both of them.
I wanted to ask you about one of your other former teams, Georgia Tech. After I thought they beat FSU, and that was such a huge win, and they went off the deep end this weekend.
Well, it's a close game. I think.
Yeah, it ended up being a close game. Yeah,
pretty close game. But those teams
Syracuse
are all pretty
looked good. Yeah,
all those teams are pretty good. I'm telling you. And maybe FSU's not as good as their preseason rankings, but they got time to try to get it going. But they've really got some quarterback issues up there. So I don't know what to tell Coach Norvell when you give your quarterback a big payday, a big chunk, close to $1 million, and all of a sudden, doesn't look like he's a very good player. I don't know what you do.
Well, they could lose Saturday. They got Memphis. Memphis is a good team.
Memphis, one of the best teams, not in a Power 5. They're one of the best. A lot of people predict them to make the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I had Liberty, but they didn't look good this week. But that was my Power 5 or un-Power 5 team. I do want to ask you, too, though, about the SEC, which we all want to brag about it, how great it is and everything. But, man, it just looked like it was top-heavy and that the teams in the middle, you know, the Kentuckys and the Auburn didn't look, was awful. And it just felt like the league wasn't maybe as good as we thought. And yet they could end up with 4 teams in the playoff because those 4 teams are really good.
Yeah, the ones that really SEC teams that look good, obviously Georgia. But Ole Miss and Tennessee, now they haven't played a real big opponent. NC State is, I think, going to be average this year. But those teams look really good. Bama was sluggish, but they got a good victory and so forth. So the team that was really surprising was Oklahoma. They were 29-point favorite over Houston, and only won 16-12.
And they could have easily lost that game. I was watching that game.
Yeah, if that was Cal beat Auburn. And
Auburn, I thought Auburn might be the big surprise this year, and they go out there and they lose.
They're 13-point favorites at home. Auburn used to be a tough place to play. But, the home field, I'm telling you, when the other team plays better.
I kept thinking, Coach, this game must be – because I had it on a TV with the sound off. Yeah. So I kept thinking, this game must be at Cal. That's the only reason they could still be – and then I realized it was at Auburn. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Auburn won at Cal last year. That was one of their big wins for Auburn. But anyway, Texas looks awfully good along with Georgia right now. They're the top 2 with Ole Miss and Tennessee right behind them in the SEC, it appears. Of course, the big win was Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame at Notre Dame. They were 28-point underdogs, Northern Illinois. And their kid made the field goal right there at the end. So huge win for that school and everybody.
That was fun to watch too.
Oh yeah, everybody associated with that school. That's a memory of a lifetime, and that's what's so neat about college football. You can have a game like that, and everyone that was in attendance, they got something to talk about the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You were saying Rick Neuheisel was interviewing the AD though, and he was taking all the credit for it. So.
Well, the AD was talking about how he appreciated Notre Dame playing them. Of course, they give them. Yeah. $1.5 million to come to our place. They got to fill up their schedule, and everybody thought it would be an easy win for Notre Dame. But Northern Ill, they obviously had a team that matched up with them very well, and their field goal kicker made a 42 or 3. It wasn't real long, but it wasn't a gimme. So that won the game. Yeah, the field goal won the game. I was waiting on them to mention his name. They kept on about what a wonderful win. And I said, tell me the name of that kicker. He won the game for them. Or they wouldn't be celebrating right now. But, I tell you, a great kicker is Pittsburgh Steelers. Didn't score a touchdown yesterday.
They did not.
And won, 18-10 or something?
Yeah.
So man, those kickers are important. No
Yeah,
question.
it was good to see Kyle Pitts score in that game, and then they didn't score again the rest of the game. The Falcons, they just
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like an offensive drought there, and
So
Kirk
many-
Cousins
yeah.
was terrible. They
Yeah,
were-
so many of these teams have these $50 million quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They're no better than the backup guy.
I
You
know.
But they like to give their money away. They were talking on the NFL channel today about Deshaun Watson at Cleveland, and he was 0 for 10 and passes past 10 yards down the field. And he's getting so much money they have to pay him, and he's one of the top 5 or 6 in the league. And they almost, he just doesn't play very well.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do.
He's
with
not
him.
any good.
Yeah, I'd hate to be.
I mean, he took that.
Yeah.
He had to stay out for a year. He was going through all the trials and everything. And I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but he's come back and he's been awful. And again, I don't think he's surrounded with great talent either. And I tell you what, that is the thing I think you learned. Being a pro coach, you got to have a great general manager, a great owner, and you have to have a great quarterback. And I think that was the struggle for you, is you didn't have the first two.
No.
That's my
General
opinion.
manager.
I'm just saying that's my opinion.
Well, the owner and the general manager are the same guy.
Yeah.
So he's no longer there. But anyway, that's history. That gave me a chance to go to South Carolina anyway.
That's
all
right,
I want to
yeah.
say. That was the good of it.
And now, so do you think South Carolina is that good or Kentucky's that bad? I watched that whole game. I had it on the big TV.
Well, as everybody knows, South Carolina was fortunate to beat Old Dominion.
Yeah, yep.
Their Old Dominion quarterback fumbled on the 5-yard line or 10, and South Carolina recovered and punched it in, or they were 3 points behind at that point. So, but they got ball players, guys that are ready to play. Kentucky at home, that didn't mean anything. You could tell South Carolina was much better mentally, physically, and everything else prepared to play. So, yeah, Kentucky had a bad game coaching, playing, and everything. It was embarrassing, I think, for them. They actually ran the ball 18 straight plays at one time.
How'd that
I think
work
I
out
said-
for them?
Well, they were going 3 and 4. They made a few yards, but I guess that was the game plan. Let's try to run every down. But as we all know, you got to mix it up.
Well, and that's the thing. And South Carolina did a lot of things good. Well, their defense was spectacular. They made some plays on special teams. I mean, and that's what it is. It's a team win, and that's what you have to take it as. It's not, anything special that any particular quarterback or anybody did. It's just a team win. And I think that's the way to win in this league right now.
Teams win, and individuals and big pay guys, they don't win games for you. But also the Michigan and Texas game.
Yeah.
Before the game, 111,000. Every seat was packed with mostly all Michigan people. And
again, they don't see Texas come in there.
No,
so
first time.
that's cool.
yeah, that was just neat. College football is something. I tell you, the fans love it, and almost all these games are packed. I think we'll be packed again with Texas A&M coming in. 3:30 game. In fact, my grandson, Gavin Orr Spurrier, is with Texas A&M.
Is he?
Coach Elko brought him from Duke. He was one of those analysts or grad assistant, wherever you call it. And he works with the quarterbacks. They got a quarterback coach there that I think calls the plays and everything. But he'll be in town coaching against our Gators. And I'll have a bunch of relatives here also.
That's
Some
cool.
other grandkids and so forth to be here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not what you would call a rivalry game. I mean, they barely played A&M, but
This is a historic game. In 1962, the Gators had a real sorry game the week before. Got beat by somebody pretty bad, and their Texas A&M was coming to Florida Field, the Swamp, and they were pretty good. A&M was back in '62, and that's when Coach Ellenson wrote the letter.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
famous in Gator football history,
it is,
University of
yeah.
Florida football history. Quick story: Coach Ellenson was at the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. And he and about 4 other guys helped hold the line for the reinforcements to come.
Yeah.
And we drove the Germans back. And of the 5 guys, he was one of them. And a couple of them had some mental problems, and a couple others moved on. But there was 5 guys that sort of held the line, and he was one of them. And he wrote in his letter, I get a little choked up thinking about it. Said, fellas, you don't know what life or death is. And we got an opportunity this week. Texas A&M's coming in to appreciate what we have in life and play for each other, play for your school, and let's take this thing seriously. Don't waste a moment in life. And we beat A&M like 42-6, and they were favored in the game.
Yeah.
So that was a famous part of Florida football history. The letter, they call it. In fact,
You use it again, though.
I
at
talked
Florida.
to Tommy Shannon today,
Yeah.
who was on that 62 team.
Yeah.
And we talked about the letter a little bit. Of course, Coach Ellenson, he was my motivational guy.
Yeah.
When I got here, he'd already retired and he was working with Gator boosters. And we had him speak to the team once a year. I told him once a year, you get to talk to our team, okay, please. And so the first year is going to be Georgia. So we're over there. He gets on the bus. We go to the movie. We're coming back, and I'm going to introduce him and talk. And I sort of said, Coach, our guys are ready to play. And he said, Coach, they will not remember a word I said tonight because they don't need anything. Your guys are ready.
Really?
Your guys are ready. And he didn't say. So we got an opportunity. Oh, he was just real quick.
38-7 or 38-7?
That was a 38-7.
Yeah.
It should have been 56-7. We really messed up. But anyway, I brought him up to Duke twice. And last game of the season, we're playing North Carolina, and we'd lost 4 in a row, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point games. And I said, man, we're in the dumps, and we need to beat the Tar Heels. So he came up, and I introduced him, and we beat him like 27-10 to end the season with a win and get going and so forth. And he told the team, I'll do a little dance with you in the locker room after we beat these Tar Heels. So he was in there dancing away. But, Coach Ellenson, he is one of our favorite coaches of all time here at University of Florida.
Absolutely. Great defensive coordinator. I learned something about the Battle of the Bulge, and that was the Bulge was this area that the Germans held that was kind of a bulge there versus, and I was watching this thing on it. It was this documentary on it. It was unbelievable. And the Battle of the Bulge was this area, I think it was in, it was outside of Germany, so it must have been in France. But it was,
I think so.
little bulge there anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people say that was one of the most crucial battles of the whole
absolutely.
of World War II. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, we got anything else to talk about? I know you're excited about the A&M Aggies coming in here.
Well, we got new life. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gators got new life. DJ Lagway and the team, it's almost like, well, that Miami thing's behind us now.
Yeah.
We got to win. Now we got another really important game. It's at home. We learned from our mistakes, and I really believe our guys are ready to really have a good ball game, and our coaches are ready to have a good ball game too. You win and lose as a whole group.
Yep.
The team don't, team and coaches are all together. So hopefully we'll all have an excellent game this Saturday.
Yep, and it'll be exciting, and it'll be fun to watch. And I think you're right. I think that game kind of gave Gator fans hope.
New life.
Back.
Yeah. New life.
Their hope had been totally dissolved, and they kind of came back and go, okay, we see what's going on here.
And
it can be
DJ
good.
Lagway is a big reason.
Yep.
So he's. I don't know who's going to start or whatever, but he needs to play.
We'll
How
see.
much?
No, he's going to play.
We'll
yeah.
see. Yeah.
If not, then they'll be. Anyway, I don't want to say that. All right, that's going to do it for Coach Spurrier, brought to you by Meldon Law every Monday. We appreciate him. Always fun talking to him, as you know. We'll be back with more on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Ribco, a Gainesville great. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. All right, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We always love when Robbie Andreu comes on via Zoom, via the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe. Did you tailgate Saturday? I'm wondering.
Yeah, I did, Pat. We had a good time. Got up there around 3:15, and it went by real fast. Having a few beers, something to eat. It was a good time.
Yeah, it wasn't
the
like
game was entertaining. The game was entertaining. Just watching Lagway.
Oh yeah, the atmosphere wasn't like it was last week, but still, I mean, they ended up selling out. I mean, doesn't mean it was full, but the crowd was pretty good.
Yeah, Pat. I was impressed with the crowd in the stadium. It was a regular Florida home game, like any other game. I was surprised. I give fans credit still. Again.
Yeah, I think that's that game that you take your kids to too. You know, you only have one of those opportunities this year. Usually you have two, but that you take your kids, you know, to that game because they get room and everything. But they did a good.
Yeah, now it's big boy football.
It is. There are no more no games right now that I would consider, you know.
A sure win.
Yeah, the sure win. But not only that, but Florida is going to be an underdog probably in every game. They're an underdog this week, 4-point underdog this week. So they're going to be an underdog probably in every game the rest of the way. Yeah. Unless they start winning some of these games. Yeah. Got to win some of these games. They could be against UCF. If they go out there and lay another egg like they laid against Miami, against Texas A&M, they could be underdog against UCF.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that, Pat.
Yeah. All right, it's time to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Robbie Andreu. We do this every Monday. It is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. Go over there and see Keith Miller over there. We love him. And obviously go and have some cheesesteak. Baseball theme over there. They do a great job. And if you say that you listened or watched another duly noted podcast, you get free fries with your order. Let's go to number one for Robert Albert Andreu, RRAA. Raw.
The fourth.
All right. Pretty easy question, Robbie. Number one, you would start Lagway on Saturday.
I'm going to say no, Pat. And Napier is in a real delicate situation here now. I mean, you don't want to bench your starter for missing one game with a concussion when he, earned the job. He's been a team leader all this time. You don't want to bench him for that. But then again, you don't want to kill the momentum that Lagway created the other night. I mean, this was a team and a program that was so down. It was unbelievable. He gave them a huge spark of life in that game. But, the thing is, this is a different animal he'll be facing now. A&M, they're not going to be throwing the ball all over the field against A&M, and you don't want to hurt his confidence. So I think Napier's plan, I approve of his plan. He's going to play both. I think they maybe promised to give Lively 2 or 3 possessions, or at least 1 possession and a half, and if he gets on a roll, keep him in the game. But I think it's fair to both to have them share playing time at this point, and I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, no, I told Karen. Karen actually sat me down and had a long conversation about what they should do and how they should start Lagway. Yeah. And then called me on her way to brunch to tell me more about it. And I was like, Karen, I go, look, here's my philosophy is Mike Elko is going to throw exotic defenses at Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, and especially if they start Lagway. If they start Mertz, that would give a guy who's seen this kind of thing before in the SEC. I leave it up to the coaches, though. Here's the bottom line. If you're Billy Napier, don't start the quarterback you think the fans want. Start the quarterback you think will win the game.
Yeah, I agree, Pat. You can't let the fans dictate what you do. And I know that the fans want Lagway right now, and hopefully they're going to handle it well because Mertz, I'm sure, is going to start that game and, play a lot. And I'm sure Lagway's going to play a lot too. So I think he's handling it the right way. I mean, he's not going to hurt Lagway's confidence at all by throwing him in against the defense that could really mess him up mentally. So, I think he's going to do it the right way, and we'll see how it works out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like his plan.
I tell you, this could go back to the whole Leak Tebow thing we saw, where it's the first 3rd and 1 Florida gets. I'd put Lagway in there, and and I would go deep and just say, hey, what do you got to? Yeah, I mean, I think Napier's got to start coaching with what do I have to lose mentality.
Yeah, and like Jill mentioned the other day, what happened to scared money don't make money? Where is that going? Go ahead and take some chances now.
Well, they had creativity in that last game. The game before, obviously, they had no creativity.
None at all.
Ran the same plays over and over. All right, let's get to number 2 on Yes Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. Robbie, the SEC is way too top-heavy right now.
Well, when you mean top-heavy, Pat, you mean with really good teams that are ranked in the top 10?
They got like 4 great teams, and then I'm not sure about anybody else.
Well, yeah, you got 4 or 5, and then everybody else below that. But I mean, you can never have too many great teams in the conference. But you're right; it's the 4 or 5 halves, and then the others are all well below that top 4 or 5. So, I
don't think anybody thought Kentucky would be that bad. I don't think anybody thought Auburn would go on the road and lose to Cal, or play at home and lose to Cal.
Exactly.
There are a lot of those results that, like. To me, and I said this earlier, but I think obviously you got Texas and you got Georgia. And then you have, I think, Tennessee, because their defense is really good.
Yeah, I think Tennessee too, and then Alabama.
And maybe Ole Miss. Alabama, the way they played in that game, I think I got to put them a tier below. Alabama and LSU would be on the second tier, and then everybody else is way. Yeah. There seems to be a separation right now.
There does seem to be a big gap, Pat. I know it's early in the year, but it'll figure it out in the end. But right now there does appear to be a big gap, and I agree with you. Alabama didn't look good at all, and that final score is very misleading. I mean, they were on the ropes there for a while in the second.
They were. That's why I was watching it. I mean, I had it on my third TV.
Yeah.
Karen and I were eating dinner. I actually got her to come into my room. She hates going in there because there's all these different smells and everything. But she just said, I said, come on to my room. I got 3 TVs. We'll watch all the games. We'll eat our dinner. And she did. As soon as she got done, she was spanked out of there. She's like,
got out quick. I can't say I don't blame her.
Well. It was more fun for me, too. All right, finally on Yes Nowhere, maybe with Robbie Andreu, the Vikings made up for the Twins' slide. 3 straight losses. Doesn't look good for the old Twins, but the Vikings looked really good yesterday.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, Pat. Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, when football season starts, college and NFL, my interest in baseball kind of wanes a little bit, even with my favorite team, the Twins. But this slide is inevitable because you look at all the guys that are hurt. Joe Ryan, a starting pitcher, Buxton, Correa, Kepler. They're missing so many players that they had to go into a slump like this, and so that's not surprising at all. And football now is a great distraction from that. It doesn't hurt as bad when your baseball team's losing when football season's on.
Yeah, I've had that same problem with the Braves. If I know that I got to go check the score out. I'm not paying that much attention to it.
Yeah, your team is very wounded too. So.
Oh, wounded. We're hurting. I'm wounded too. All right, Robbie, we'll let you go. Thanks a lot for being a part of the show today. Thanks a lot, buddy.
See you again.
See you later.
Soon.
Okay, always great to have Robbie on after Coach Spurrier. 2 guys are connected at the hip. Let's get to our Oxstrong Moving Company presents The Movers, and we love this segment. It's a brand new segment with Oxstrong Moving Company, and Zach and the people there do a great job. And we present the movers, which are different teams in different sports that are moving up and down. So we're going to give you this. Georgia Tech was a team that moved down. Georgia Tech got into the rankings after that big win over FSU, and they went out and lost to Syracuse. Now they got no votes. Sorry, man. Sorry, your time in the spotlight was very short-lived. Illinois. You thought I was going to say Northern Illinois, but I'm saying Illinois. Because Illinois, nobody's even thought about them, but they had a big win over Kansas over the weekend, and now they're up to, technically, number 26 in the AP poll. The AP poll, of course, only does the top 25, but they list the next team, so they're 26. So win another game, Illinois, and you're going to be in the top 25. Teams that aren't doing so good. Well, I want to give you the Royals. So the Royals have won 4 straight games, and they're 2.5 games behind Cleveland. They have made that really interesting. I mentioned the Twins earlier have lost 3 straight games and are 5 games back now. It's going to be tough for them. And, of course, the Braves have been going, it's just a roller coaster with them. They're still they're tied with the Mets now. And the White Sox moving on up into the east side. We should have that, moving up, falling down, whatever. They won a game Sunday, and it's important. You know why? Because now they're a mere 33-111 as they go for the record, the all-time record for the most losses in a Major League Baseball season. They got a real shot at it, but they screwed it up with winning on Saturday. I bet you if you're a player on that team, you are just trying to win every game because you do not want to be known for that. That is our Oxstrong Moving Company presents The Movers for today, and we appreciate them for being a part of the show. Let's move to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke are good friends. Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville firm here for your needs in family law or workers' compensation. Call or text Ken and Jennifer 24/7 at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, nearly 50 years of combined legal experience and about to celebrate their 5th anniversary in January. We appreciate Hesser and Kipke, Ken and Jenny, for... I think I did get a couple of texts from Ken this weekend. All right, let's start off with number 1 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. And when that is, we'll turn our attention a little bit to the NFL. And Dak Prescott, that story breaks on Sunday morning that he signs a new deal to be the highest paid quarterback in history. $240 million, just chump change. Must be great to have that kind of money. And then he goes out and lives up to it. Now, he lived up to it for 1 game. We'll see how he does in the next game. And I think they have, I'm trying to remember who they have in the next game. They got a pretty tough opponent in the next game. Anyway, so he is now the highest paid guy. And they finally paid these guys. I don't know why it took so long. Is it just they want us to be dragged along? Or is it just that people, like when somebody says to me, and I've had this happen to me many times, they say, hey, no, that contract is not done yet. He hasn't signed it yet. I'm like, well, why hasn't he signed it? Is that something to be said? No, he just hadn't gotten around to it yet. That's it. That's all you got to do. You sign your name. Boom. Your lawyers are looking at it? Oh, well, his lawyers are looking at it. It may be a couple of weeks. Why? You read it. You look it up. You look at it. Anyway, so that happened. All right, let's move to number 2, which is there's a lot of booing going on in the NFL. The Giants would be number 1. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown in their game after we heard how great they were going to be this year. And Daniel Jones, what a disaster he is. And then, of course, Deshaun Watson was awful in their game. I watched that. I watched a lot of it because we got the SEC. We got the what do you call it? Red Zone. Yeah, Red Zone. We get that on the first Saturday or Sunday of the season, which was great. I watched a lot of it, but it's more for fantasy players, and I'm not playing fantasy this year, so. But I still watch a lot of it, and then I would get to a point where I go, I really don't care what happens in the red zone of this game, so you'd flip it over. But I was very much into the Dolphins Jaguars game. Enjoyed that Dolphins win. So there was a lot of booing going on, though. Just so you know. And finally, number 3 on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that is Angel Reese, who is just broken every record I think there is for double-doubles, but she's out for the season with a broken wrist. So she is done, and I would assume that means Caitlin Clark will be the Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year and everything else. It probably won't be Player of the Year. Angel Wilson will probably be Player of the Year. Yeah, I know way more about WNBA than I've ever known before, but I do pay attention to it. But anyway, Angel Reese is out for the rest of the year. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us move along to our Hugh Cain. And we love our man Hugh Cain. I was actually looking at he gave me the sheet of the SEC teams and what their schedules are. He gave that to me, and I love it, man. I look at it all the time. But our our Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. Yeah, well, this game, I watched a lot of this game, and Will Levis was having a great game, and then he didn't. He had a great first half, let's put it that way. Look, I'm not a Will Levis fan, only because I don't think he's that good, and, I don't know how he got picked where he did and why they're going with him. But the main thing is he threw this pass, which is not even a pass, which was the worst pass I've ever seen. And that allowed the Bears won, and everybody goes, oh, Caleb Williams 1-0 as a starter. Okay, Caleb Williams was responsible for 0 touchdowns. But they got a punt block and this play, and they won the game. So good for them. I did watch Hard Knocks, and you always fall in love with the team that's on Hard Knocks. I didn't really fall in love with this team, but I like them a little more than I would have. So we'll see what goes on there. But that was our Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment. There were a lot of Mayhem moments. I had a couple of others I was going to choose from, but one of them was the J.J. Watt fumble recovery where the guy was unbelievable. All right, let's move along to our Wendig's Realtors Top 12, which we do every Monday. Of course, Christine and Stephen Wendig, Boss Heart Realty, we appreciate them being a sponsor, and we give you the top 12. What we would do if we were picking this week. Now, it's just this week. Don't get too mad at me. All right. I would have Georgia still number 1. I would be tempted to flip-flop and put Texas up there, which I had Texas 2. The AP poll did that this week. They put Texas at 2 because they got the best win. And Ohio State 3, that's the way I have them. I had them this way last week. Ole Miss at 4. Ole Miss, I think, they're a dangerous team, man. They're going to be. So don't forget, Georgia plays Texas and Ole Miss this year on the road. And that's what's going to define this season. I've got Tennessee at number 5 because I was very impressed with their defense. NC State looked bad, and NC State didn't look good the week before against Western Carolina. Miami 6, again, all I've got to go is the sample size. They beat the crap out of Florida, and they beat the crap out of a crappy team, FAMU. So that's all I got to go on, though. So that's why I put them at 6. I put Missouri at 7. Missouri eventually will leave the state at some point after, I think, maybe in 2025. But Utah at 8. Number 9, I have USC. Number 10, I have Penn State. Barely. And Drew Aller came in and won that game late. I mean, he won the game late. And I got Alabama all the way down at number 11. Look, I'm not putting them up any higher than that. You're not getting a bye, okay? And you're going on the road to play because that was not a good performance. And then number 12, my favorite team, Northern Illinois. I may have to buy a shirt. Northern Illinois, and again, don't forget, somebody from one of those non-Power 4 conferences gets in. And so I had it at Liberty. Liberty struggled this week. They won, but Northern Illinois with the big win. So congratulations to them and the folks in DeKalb. So good win for them. All right. Let us move along to our Adams Rib Co. Adams Rib Co. Stopped it to go. I do miss that place, so I will say that. But the Adams Rib Co. Still go to Adams when we can and love it over there. And, of course, we pick our Gator of the weekend every Monday. We love doing it. I'm sorry. It's DJ Lagway. I mean, there's no way else I can go. I mean, he threw for 465 yards in his first start as a freshman and 3 touchdowns. And he ran for like 26, too. He's got to be the freshman of the – I mean, he's definitely the freshman of the week. He's the Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And congratulations to DJ. I got a feeling it won't be the last time I give him that award. Let's move along to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Our good friend over there, Kyle, does a great job at Leonardo's. Go in there and get the Dooley. You got to get the Dooley, man. That Parmesan sandwich is unbelievable. You'll love it. Get a Dooley and a Vega. That's the way what I get when I'm in there. All right, so you guys did pretty good last week on the picks. A lot of you have qualified. We'll get another qualifier for the game that's Thursday night. There is a Thursday night game. If you don't know it, there is one, and it's a close Arizona State, which if you watched last week, they looked pretty good. They got that guy, it's not Peekaboo. It's Peekaboo or Hikabo or
the running back.
The running back. He is just – I remember him from Sacramento State. He was great. I watched the game where he was playing in. He's really good player. Anyway – Scatabo, yeah. Scatabo. They are 2-point favorites at Texas State. Texas State's got a good club. So that'll be interesting. So that'll be a fun game to pick for Thursday night. And then you have a reason to watch the Thursday night game, right? Like you need a reason. All right. Now we are going to finish up with our Swamp games of the week. And, of course, we were at the Swamp Tuesday, had a great time over there. Jeff and I, the beers were cold, food was good. We enjoyed it very much. And we do it every Thursday for home games. Come over to the Swamp Restaurant, say hello to me, say hello to Jeff, have a couple beers, enjoy it, and go there to watch games, which is what we are trying to advertise here. You have plenty of stuff to watch this week, including a Wednesday game volleyball match with Florida and Georgia Tech. That is at 7 on ESPN2. Now, normally, the game's in Atlanta. Florida's going up there. They've got a weird schedule. It's not a typical Mary Wise schedule, but they're going to Atlanta. They're playing Georgia Tech on Wednesday night. They're playing Alabama State on Thursday night, but that game is not on TV, so you'd either have to watch it on Gator Vision or just follow it. But anyway, volleyball playing at Georgia Tech at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Baseball-wise, you got the Orioles playing at the Reds on TBS. That's a 7:30 game on Tuesday night. And then NFL-wise, you've got you have the Jets San Francisco tonight. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, you know what happened. But Jets San Francisco's tonight, 8:15 on ESPN and ABC. And then Buffalo at Miami is your Thursday night game. Oh, you got to be at the Swamp for that, don't you? That play's going to be going nuts. Thursday night, 8:15, it's on Prime Video. I am assuming they get Prime Video because they get everything. If they don't, then they'll call me and tell me they don't get it. But I'm sure they do. So you got a lot of stuff to watch this week. And this is the time of year, man. We got so much to watch, and it's just going to get better and better. We're going to get into the President's Cup. We're going to get into more, Mac. What do they call it? Maction. Maction, where you get these MAC games on Tuesdays and stuff, and you have Monday Night Football. Life is good right now, so enjoy it. On Thursday, no matter who our guest is, we'll talk a lot about Texas A&M. I'll tell you that much. We'll do that, and we'll talk about that game and how important it is for Florida. So I can't wait until Thursday. And thanks to Zach. Great job, as always. Thanks to everybody who is a sponsor, a listener, a viewer, anybody who's involved with this podcast. We appreciate you so much, and we'll be back with another one on Thursday. Until then, I'm Pat Dooley. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.